At 7:42 p.m., the 17th of October 2025, deep in Russia's Sterlitamak heartland, a TFL-1 FPV drone began its final dive. The target lay just 500 feet ahead. In 8 seconds, 8 pounds of shaped explosive would hit Russia's largest nitrocellulose line. The war had just begun. With the entire base now on full alert, could Russian operators stop the second, far more crucial drone before it struck? The answer had already been decided 72 hours earlier. While satellites swept the skies, Ukraine's plan began hidden inside one ordinary truck. It started with a dark web job post hiring a Russian driver to haul a prefab log cabin 800 miles. The driver never knew his cargo was a mobile launch platform. Inside the wooden shell, a Ukrainian agent assembled a Gol mothership and 2 TFL-1 attack drones. The brilliance wasn't only in delivery but concealment. The TFL-1 used embedded LEDs to mimic a sparrow's heat, just 2 degrees above the air. To a Russian radar screen, it looked like nothing more than small wildlife, utterly harmless, yet fatally precise. Stakes were enormous. The goal: ignite a $500 million plant and erase 30% of Russia's explosive output for Donbass. To do it, Ukraine had to pierce overlapping defenses. The first shield Tor M2, a 10-mile engagement beast built to kill low targets. Behind it, the Nebo M radar scanned for low radar cross-section threats like the TFL-1. Around them, the Kasuka 4 electronic warfare network could jam GPS and radar alike. To break that fortress of steel and silicon, Ukraine's mission had to be flawless. 3 days earlier, October 14, the plan went live. A plain KAMAZ truck joined the M5 highway, its manifest listing prefab cabin parts. Inside, under dim light, a lone Ukrainian operative worked in silence, assembling the Gol mothership piece by precise piece. The container was lined with thermal insulation, hiding his heat and electronics from roadside scans. A GPS spoofer made the truck's route appear legitimate, logged in official systems. For 800 miles, the vehicle moved unnoticed among countless others. A ghost gliding through Russia's own supply network. 50 miles from the Vanguard plant, it turned onto empty farmland. As dusk fell, the container roof slid open. The Gol M, armed and ready, rose quietly into twilight, staying low under S-400 detection. The package was airborne. Now it had to cross 50 miles of hostile airspace. Could it reach the release zone before local defenses reacted? At 7:31 p.m., inside a Tor M2 control cabin, an operator's routine radar sweep suddenly froze. Something wasn't right. A faint signal drifted along the river, too slow for a missile, too large for a bird, too low for any plane. The system flagged it as biological, but the operator's instincts rebelled. The board commander sighed and gave a careless order to test it. Fire 1 missile, see if it moves. A 9M317 streaked skyward. The Gol M wasn't blind. Its LAR sensors mapped the missile instantly. It dropped 20 feet, skimming the water. The missile overshot, detonating uselessly on a distant hill. Red lights filled the Russian screens. The contact upgraded hostile, level 1. Panic replaced boredom. Activate Kasuka 4 jamming. Deploy Spetsnaz. The airwaves exploded with interference, an iron storm meant to kill any remote link. Within moments, 200 Spetsnaz operators encircled the factory in a 5-mile lockdown. Surprise was gone. The Gol M was flying through an electronic hurricane and closing walls of elite troops. Its mission was not to fight, but to deliver. Had the trap been triggered too early? At 7:34 p.m., inside the jamming storm, the Gol M became prey, but it had one final purpose: to release its offspring. With a soft hydraulic hiss, 2 TFL-1 drones dropped into chaos below. For Russia, this was supposed to be the kill shot. The Kasuka field could crush GPS and commands, turning drones to dead metal. For 90 seconds, it seemed to work. The TFL-1 links went dark. But they weren't waiting for control, they were thinking. The AI switched to Phantom Protocol. LEDs glowed, mimicking a sparrow 2 degrees warmer than air. The flight computer, trained on hours of bird motion data, took over flying like life itself, not code. Ukraine's secret weapon had evolved. Each drone shifted its heading 4 degrees per second, perfectly copying a bird caught in wind. The Tor M2's Doppler filters, designed to ignore wildlife, dismissed them as harmless. Ukraine's intelligence had just fooled Russia's eyes. On Russian radar, The targets vanished into background noise. The operators stared at blank screens, stunned. One whispered, "They're flying like they're in the Matrix." The first line of defense was gone, beaten by human genius. Yet that defiance awakened a deadlier card. Realizing radar had been deceived, Russian command called their trump an A-50 AWACS at 30,000 feet. Its look-down thermal sensors cared nothing for paths, only for heat signatures. They searched for one thing: heat. At 7:36 p.m., once the A-50 AWACS was redirected, the drone's fate was sealed. From 30,000 feet, the world below looked different. The AWACS ignored Doppler shifts. Its sensors saw only heat. Two contacts stood out: small, faint, yet undeniably artificial. The AWACS became the Tor M2's eyes, feeding it real-time targeting data. The ground crew no longer needed radar lock, just a trigger pull. A 9M317 missile roared upward, cutting through the night toward the lead drone. The TFL-1's threat receiver screamed. With less than a second to react, it performed a suicidal dive, dropping to 50 feet, the ground racing closer. Just 500 feet from the factory walls, it escaped the missile, only to face another deadly trap below. Spetsnaz had unleashed a brutal low-tech weapon-spinning tripwire strung between trees, forming a web of steel to tear any low-flying object apart. The drone was caught between a supersonic missile above and that deadly trap below its mission on the edge. If it failed, the Azov ground team, hidden 3 miles away, would have to storm the plant on foot. The clean strike would collapse into chaos. At 7:38 p.m., with the missile closing fast, the TFL-1 used its last trick, a feature saved for this worst-case moment. The drone switched from navigation to hunting. Its AI cut external guidance and engaged visual homing. No longer chasing coordinates, it scanned the factory facade, matching it to a stored 3D model, searching for the nitrocellulose curing bay's main vent. As the missile screamed closer, the drone's LAR tracked it, calculating microsecond intercepts. It didn't dodge, it deceived. With a sharp sideways burst, the missile overshot. Expecting a larger target, its fuse failed to detonate and self-destructed in the sky. At the same time, the AI solved the tripwire puzzle. The vent target was 40 feet high, well above the steel web. No signal could trace it. The drone was a ghost, its operators invisible. The goal mothership, job complete, turned and sped home to safety. As one drone aimed for its final 10-second run, the second waited a mile away for a single command: wait for flash. It would strike using the first explosion's heat and smoke as its guide. 3 miles out, the Azov commander watched via micro-drone feed. He activated their hidden weapon, an unmanned ground vehicle armed with thermobaric charges. They were the Echo unit, not rescuers but exploiters of chaos. Once defenses fell, the board was theirs. The battle had become a chess game, with one move left. At 7:39 p.m., the TFL-1 surged forward, camera locked on the vent's shape. In 3 seconds, it became a blur. The 8-pound charge tore through the steel grille, driving 10 feet deep before detonating, sending shockwaves that lit the sky like early fireworks. The genius was not in the impact, but in the detonation physics. A perfect kill built on precision. First, the fuse set with a 0.8-second delay, so the blast occurred inside, not outside. The drone burrowed deep before igniting, turning its path into a bomb. The aim wasn't to pierce, it was to trap the blast. What followed was equal to 50 pounds of TNT detonated inside a pipe. The pressure, at 500 psi, ricocheted off concrete walls, doubling its own destructive power in a storm of rebounding shockwaves. The curing bay became a pressure cooker, like locking a monster in a furnace. The wave shattered the structure's bones. Columns snapped like sticks. The roof collapsed, crushing the production line beneath. In seconds, the facility was erased from existence. The nitrocellulose bay turned to twisted metal and smoke. The blast vaporized power conduits. Lights died instantly. The grid suffered total collapse. The factory fell silent, its power, communications, and defenses obliterated in one surgical inferno. Spetsnaz teams stumbled through toxic black smoke, blind, deaf, and cut off. 25 senior technicians died instantly. Sirens wailed through the night as Russia tried to label the disaster an industrial accident, hiding the truth beneath the ashes. At dawn, Russian media called it a minor safety incident. But American satellites saw the truth. A 50-foot crater carved by an FPV drone. The explosion rippled beyond the gates, crippling logistics and igniting collapse across the entire Donbass front. With command links destroyed, encrypted Russian channels went silent. Orders ceased. 1,000 artillery units ran dry of nitrocellulose for 48 hours. Azov forces advanced through the 72-hour gap, reclaiming 5 miles of territory. The psychological shock was worse. Russian officers grew paranoid, mistaking every bird for a drone. With an AI Sparrow and 1 truck, Ukraine proved a rule of modern war. The victor isn't the one with wealth, but with boldness and calculated genius. So next time you hire a driver from the dark web, check the cargo. If you were planning Ukraine's next black op, what disguise would you choose for the truck, a bakery van, or an ambulance? Military Edge Global will be here to analyze the next strike.